So today's misfit observation. Saw a really funny video this morning of a female octopus throwing rocks at the male octopus, and it made me laugh because I love that. But it actually made me think too, because I can see multiple perspectives in that situation, right? And also kind of the parallels to dating in our current environment. So it could have been that she is throwing rocks at him because he is just aggressively seeking sex, okay? And like that is an audacious request because for her to have sex with him, she has to risk having babies, and having babies will kill her. So that's what I mean about like audacity. Or it could have been, a friendly male octopus trying to approach from a dating perspective, like maybe, romance or flirt a little bit, try to be, friendly before, banging it out. Because again, you're asking her to die, okay? You're asking her to die when you want to have sex with her. But everybody wants to have sex, right? She does too. She flirts and changes colors and does shit when she's ready. So I don't know. I know too much about these things. But it also, it has me thinking about kind of like the current state of dating and the topic we've talked about around like why don't men approach women anymore? And it makes perfect sense. I mean, if you think back to kind of the Me Too movement, and I don't want to blame that because I think it's a valid thing. Just because you didn't know how many women had experienced those situations doesn't mean they weren't happening. And so then it became much more public and people started talking about it, and that riled everybody up. And that was a perfect storm for the billionaires to come in and take advantage of basically women saying to men, like, back off. Everybody telling men, back off, don't approach her, whatever it may be, like, stop. And then you have like all these billionaires behind the scenes that understand how search engine optimization algorithms work. And that's where the manosphere really took hold, right? They went in there and they really took advantage of you, very frustrated and angry and insecure men in that area, and just really, really fed that insecurity. And so women are often not wanting to be approached because there is some fear of what happens when she rejects you, right? Because we are allowed to reject each other. That is just chemistry and pheromones and the way things go. And we are allowed to do that. But we should be able to expect a sense of decorum and respect when it happens. Even though it hurts your feelings, it's a hard situation to be in when you approach her at a bar and she's not interested, or wherever it is you may approach her. And you got to handle that rejection physically and visibly in front of her. But her experience a lot of times has been that rejection is not handled well. And there's a little bit of a man tantrum that happens. And sometimes she gets called names. Like, you don't need to call her a bitch because she doesn't want you to buy her a drink. So that's the conundrum, right, that we're in, is that she's afraid to even engage because if she rejects you, are you going to have a man tantrum? Is her life on the line? Because even like rejection for some men creates a great amount of aggression. Not all of you, but for some of you, yes, right? So is she dealing with that? She doesn't know. So sometimes she's just not going to deal with you at all because she just does not want that interaction. She would like to arrive home safely at night. And so I think the men that are successful in these approaches, and by successful, I mean not creating a sense of hostility, are the ones who can approach and read the vibe, right? And if she's not interested, then you move on and don't call her names and don't get discouraged because she's allowed to not be interested. Do you know how many women you're not interested in? It's totally okay. But you got to come at it from a perspective of just being able to handle that rejection in a gentlemanly way. And I think if you can do that, and she sees that enough, she might let some guard down a little bit. And I'm not telling women to let their guard down because it's up for very, very good reasons. And for it's what is that thing they say? Like, a man's biggest fear is being laughed at by a woman's biggest fear is being killed by a man, right? So you really have to think about those perspectives. And so if she's throwing rocks at you, it is because she is fearing for her life. You are fearing for potentially just being laughed at or rejected. So you're fearing a humility issue. But your safety is not in question in those situations. So you've got a very unbalanced system that's happening. So I don't know, right? Like, you're giving up and you're not going to do it at all. But somebody's got to give, because we're both at an impasse. Everybody's angry at each other, and you gotta, like, you can't just keep going and going and going in that direction, because it's just never going to change, right? So somebody's got to make an overture, right? So I think a lot of that is going to be guys getting up the guts to approach women and handle the rejection in a very respectful way and move on, because she's not your person. Somebody else is. And that's okay. And sometimes she might be interested. You might approach from a way that she's comfortable with. But I think it has to happen more, like, I think it has to happen with a little bit more regularity without the man tantrum, in order for her to kind of, like, soften up a little bit at those approaches. So I don't know, when you're we all want sex, okay? Everybody wants that. So do you want to be the aggressive octopus that makes her think about how she has to die if she mates with you? Or do you want to be the friendlier one that maybe spends some time with her and makes her feel respected and cared about before she has to make that decision to sacrifice her life for the babies? Now, if you get yourself an old lady like me who doesn't have babies, we don't have to deal with the death question in that respect. You just have to be respectful and a gentleman and consistent and communicate, and you probably will get what you're looking for without having to worry about her getting pregnant. But I digress, as I always do with ADHD. But I don't know, when you're thinking about, like, how to approach women and how to deal with the dating world, like, think about the woman throwing rocks, the woman octopus throwing rocks, and think about why she's doing that, and and that might be the nicest little man that is trying to approach her. He's the best octopus man in the ocean, but she has been, like, aggressively pawed at and wanted, and, like, just been dealing with audacity for so long that she can't differentiate at this point. Like, everybody's annoying to her. But if you're a nice one, like, there's a way to do it in a way that doesn't maybe make her want to throw rocks at you, or at the very least not throw rocks at the next one. We have to try. And the octopuses are giving me some inspiration today. So I don't know. What do you think? Like, what is it? What do we do? How do we cross this line? How do we wave the white flags with each other? What do we need to do to make this safer and more comfortable and fun again? And not have her worrying that, like, you're gonna have a man tantrum and be waiting for her in the parking lot to assault her. Like, can you just take the rejection and move on, and, like, let it be a non-thing? And the more we do that, could we maybe meet halfway? I don't know. I'm a little crazy. I'm a little optimistic. I am an idealist, despite the fact that I am also a realist. I aim for ideal. I live with real. But I try. I'm trying to help. So I don't know. Think about it. Tell me your thoughts.